Hi everyone. Welcome to my channel, Secrets Behind the Stars. All the details are in my video. If you enjoy it, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. You can support me even more by tapping the join button below. Thank you, and let's get into today's story. In a world where famous faces often seem bulletproof behind filters, premieres, and carefully curated interviews, the public rarely gets to witness the unguarded moments that define a life. Yet the recent ordeal surrounding Elçin's Sangu shattered that polished surface and reminded everyone that even the most admired figures are vulnerable. Beneath the applause, beyond the photo shoots, there was a woman confronting a fear that can paralyze the bravest heart, the terrifying possibility of losing her child before she could ever cradle him. It started with a glow that felt like the beginning of a second sunrise. The news that she and her partner, Baris Ardak, were expecting arrived like a whispered blessing, lighting up corners of their relationship that had weathered distance, gossip, and brutal media pressure. The baby didn't symbolize only a new chapter, it felt like a promise, a quiet oath to leave old scars in the past and build something tender and strong from everything they had learned and protected. Those first days were painted in warm colors. Their home filled with playful debates about baby names, sketches of nursery ideas, hopes for soft morning routines. The air seemed lighter, their steps sure, as if the future had stretched out a hand and invited them to dance. But that music stopped abruptly with a diagnosis that landed like a cold wave. In the 9th week, the signs came: dizzy spells that wouldn't let up, unexpected bleeding, exhaustion that blanketed her body. Tests confirmed what they dreaded. A high-risk pregnancy where even the simplest movement might tip the balance. For a woman like Elçin, built from long days on set and nights dissecting scripts, the order to stop everything was more than professional disappointment, it pierced her identity. She stepped away from the camera's glow without argument but with a storm inside, and sealed herself in a home that no longer felt like a refuge so much as a waiting room. What softened the corners of those days was Baris. Calm, practical, and unwavering. He rearranged schedules with quiet precision, pressed pause on his own plans, and turned domestic life into a mission of care. He cooked simple meals when her appetite flickered, dimmed the lights to ease her headaches, placed a chair by the window for soft morning sun, and did not miss a single appointment, every scan, every lab result, every difficult conversation. Weeks began to blur into each other. Checkups, hushed instructions, measurements read in numbers that never fully captured the stakes. Friends later recalled how she slept little, how she would sit awake through the night with a set of headphones and the recording of that tiny heartbeat captured during ultrasounds. For many, that rhythm would be a clinical proof of life. For her it became a rope in the dark, a sound she clung to whenever her mind slipped toward worst-case scenarios. She confessed later that she felt constantly perched on a line so thin it might vanish between one breath and the next. Every unexpected twinge, every phrase from a doctor that left too much unsaid, felt like a gust that could knock her off balance. Hospital corridors turned familiar, the muted lighting, the measured voices, the mechanical hum that underlined every hour. She tried to plant her feet in faith even when the ground felt like water. Then came a day that nurses and physicians still recount in clipped phrases. Her blood pressure spiked without warning, the monitors agitated with numbers that signaled danger. The team moved fast, plans were made, trays prepared, hands kept steady. And then, almost like the body remembered a strength it hadn't been able to reach for, her levels began to settle. The frightened pacing slowed. The intervention was stepped back. Later, one of the doctors admitted that what they witnessed wasn't only a physical response, it felt powered by something deeper, a force anchored in love and the terror of losing that love. The crisis welded the couple's connection into something beyond habit or history. If words seemed heavy, Baris let silence do the work. He held her when tears arrived without warning and brought a quiet that spread through the room like a soft blanket. On days when the fear stirred doubts about the future, he read scripts to her as if they were lullabies, scenes they might one day bring to life again, imaginary worlds that hinted there would be a tomorrow with ordinary worries and shared laughter. He also reached outward. One morning, he posted a photograph of the horizon just before sunrise, a thin line of light cutting through night, accompanied by a brief message: "As long as the horizon holds a glow, I will keep believing." It traveled rapidly, capturing countless comments within hours. People replied with prayer hands of their own making, with stories of fragile pregnancies and miracle turnarounds, with gentle words sent to a couple whose roles had never felt so real. But the hardest stretch had not yet arrived. Late in the second trimester, a severe episode rushed them back through those hospital doors. Hours dragged in a fog of uncertainty as unconfirmed headlines raced each other. Some outlets, insensitive to the weight of it, filled the vacuum with speculation. Their team asked the public for patience and compassion, reminding everyone that the situation was delicate. When stability finally returned, it felt like a brittle miracle. In a message shared softly with the world, Elçin wrote that she had stood at the edge of losing everything, and in that breathless space, she realized how love can carry a person through darkness. Life, she said, is breakable, but conviction outlives fear. Those words echoed far and wide. The updates that followed were gentler, tests that started leaning in their favor, an obstetrician's cautious smile, numbers slowly trending toward reassurance. To the amazement of more than one specialist, the baby gained strength like a small warrior nobody had expected. Medicine did its work, but there was a consensus no one could quite quantify: her steadiness, fragile but stubborn, had been a critical part of the equation. Months have passed since the storm's sharpest winds. When she steps out now, even in the simplest way, she looks changed. Not diminished, never that, but transformed in a way that draws the eye. She honors small rituals, breathing deeply for a few extra seconds, laying a palm over her stomach for quiet conversations only she hears, standing still at a window long enough to feel time moving without her. In one of her interviews, she admitted that the shift was not about appearance but about surrender. Control had been her armor, she said, but there are forces greater than planning or discipline. The baby taught her that love is not only delight, it can be sacrifice, fear, and silence, and still be beautiful beyond description. For his part, Boris has spoken about seeing her differently now, with awe that doesn't need a spotlight. He described a kind of heroism that never asks to be noticed, the kind that shows itself in the middle of the night when nobody is watching. On his face, people saw a pride that didn't demand celebration, only respect. Then a post from her stirred the country in a sudden, collective inhale. In a few strong lines, she admitted she had been terrified of losing the child, and that terror revealed a love deeper than anything she had known. The response was immediate and intimate. Thousands of women sent messages that were half confession, half tribute, memories of uncertain ultrasounds, shaky nights in emergency rooms, and then breaths of relief or grief. They thanked her for letting the veil drop, for naming what so many endure without an audience. Now, as she rests and waits for the moment a tiny cry will fill the room, her story has already become more than a personal timeline, it has turned into a symbol. Not a flawless one, there is no gloss in it. But one built from patience, fear, and the kind of tenderness that refuses to bow out. The fight has never been only medical. It has been proof that love can hold a person upright even when the floor slips. People ask how this experience will shape her craft. Will she choose roles that carry gentler truths or rawer ones? Will she step into sets with a new pulse guiding how she works? And they wonder aloud if emotional strength can actually tilt outcomes when medicine says all the numbers are fixed. Perhaps there isn't a single answer. Perhaps what matters is that she stayed. She stayed in the room, in her body, in belief, anchored by a partner who turned faith into actions repeated 1,000 times. There are images that linger: a lamp turned low at 3 a.m., a spoon quietly set on a bedside table, a hospital room where monitors whisper. A pair of hands interlaced so long the knuckles ache, a heartbeat tapping out a private rhythm that becomes a family's anthem. Those details, easily missed by cameras, are where the real story lives. And in that softness lies a lesson that speaks to anyone who has waited beside a door, not knowing which way the news would fall. Today, with the earliest shadows finally receding, she is learning to greet calm without expecting it to vanish. He is learning that strength can be gentle and unshowy and still be absolute. Together, they are keeping close to rituals that honor the journey, notes scribbled in a journal, brief messages to those who stood beside them, an open window at dawn. Their lives are quieter, not smaller, edged by gratitude that feels like sunlight after rain. What remains undeniable is the ordinary miracle that unfolded in a place where fame doesn't matter at all. A home rearranged in service of a life not yet born, a body proving itself fierce in the face of fear, and a partnership that didn't waver when the script turned into a suspense no one asked to act. If there is a takeaway for the rest of us, it might be this: love can be loud, but the kind that saves us is often the kind we hear only when we're listening closely. Do you think this chapter will reshape how Elçin sees her career and her life beyond the spotlight? Can emotional resilience tip the scales in fragile medical moments, or does it simply carry us through them? And which other figures from the Turkish world would you like us to explore here on Secrets Behind the Stars? If this story touched you, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and if you want to support us even more, click join to become a special part of our community. Thank you so much for watching my video. See you in the next one. Take care and goodbye.